I thought Victor Wembanyama's first couple games of the LNB Pro season were really interesting, and there's a lot of stuff to talk about. So we're gonna go through some plays from a couple games, and talk about some development stuff, some role stuff, a lot of good stuff here. And one of the first things that really pops out on tape to me is how difficult Wemby's role is, where they're asking him to do a lot of like wing help role stuff. Like he's kind of playing the nail here initially, and then he's being asked to X out here, which he fumbles badly. He's not in X out position at all. He should be a little bit, a little bit more this way at least, especially with his length to kind of cover two guys at once, and he's like very slow reacting to this, or doesn't really react at all. But this is a pretty difficult assignment for an 18-year-old, especially one that's 7'6". And Wemby's not currently good at this stuff, as we're gonna watch. Like he just doesn't have a lot of real like awareness or discipline. Like basically everything is a reach, and a lot of the times it works just because his arms are hilariously long. But he's like not really staying in front of guys despite like the movement skills and the coordination. Again, I actually think there's like some potential as like a pretty solid nail defender if a team decides to throw him there at all, because like that length is so crazy. Like look where Wemby is, like, and look where this ball handler is, and he's able to get his hand in there and get a steal. It's like really good stuff that I think if honed could become very, very, very dangerous for a guy of his general role. But he's a very aloof kind of help defender in these more complex situations. If it's like second side, like a simple second side help as a rim protector, he can do it. But when he has like a double team here and he's watching this man and he's got a defender cutting behind, he's just, again, very slow to react. The awareness seems low. The reaction seems sluggish, which is not good. Certainly not good. Like it's very raw at this point. And the speed of LNB Pro A is certainly a factor. Like it is a legitimate pro league, and like a lot of the stuff that he looked a lot more comfortable with in like youth basketball, where he was admittedly like ridiculous at it, like gives him a lot of trouble at the pro level, which is fine and which is good. And I think part of why I really actually like the role he's in and the challenge he's been tasked is because like he's getting to like do and learn these like real pro style actions, like guarding DHOs as the big, or like guarding like a DHO keep big, where Wemby has to know that the like in the modern game of basketball, this man is always a threat to keep the DHO and go to the rim. And Wemby was just kind of bumping and slow to react as well, which ended up giving up a wide open layup. But I think this is all like stuff he'll learn. And I really like these kind of off-ball D reps. We talk about like creation reps and like shooting reps, but like I think like the off-ball D reps are really important. And I think like for guys who aren't like preternatural defenders, I think Wemby needs those, and those are really good for him. The post defense obviously is not always great. Like with a guy of his size and height, like he's just vulnerable to being really moved back very easily and kind of muscled all the way back into the rim. Even when he's like, I really like the way his feet are kind of chopping. His base is really wide. He's stabbing at the ball. He's kind of switching up his stance. But at some point, like if you're just so much weaker than the other guy, it doesn't matter. But like for every couple plays like that, there is one of these where it doesn't really matter if Wemby gets moved or if a guy is stronger than him or can push him backwards, or Wemby can just like stand in front and block the shit out of him because he's way taller and way longer. And I think the last interesting defense point is going to be pick and roll stuff, where again, like they ask Wemby to play, I mean, like a pretty strict like mid-low drop, but it is certainly NBA style and NBA level stuff. He's just like a little antsy. I think you can see how impressive these movement skills are. Where I talked about this in my offense video. Like Wemby can get low. He gets really, really low. He can flip his hips quickly, as we're going to keep seeing. Again, we see him stab at the ball there, which he just does all the time. Like that's like his favorite move. Where I think this defender does like a really good job of getting back into play. But if Wemby is kind of more like just more patient and holds his spot more, like coming out of this drop, he just like keeps moving backwards. Here, I mean, I understand he opened his hips because of the snake, but like I think Wemby can be a little more conservative with his positioning because of how impressive his recovery tools actually are. Because Like, look at this stuff. Like his hips. This is a really good like good bad play. Like this level of hip mobility is crazy for a 7'5", 7'6" guy. Like he is, right here guarding an empty side pick and roll as a mid deep drop big, which is a really tough assignment. This pocket pass window is open because Wemby looks to be committing to the guard, but he flips his hips and is immediately in position to contest, which is awesome. Problem is he's like not very good at contesting at the moment, especially on the move, where Wemby is just like not great at contact. He's not great at taking angles, and while he certainly can jump in a lot of circumstances, like it seems like he kind of likes to just like swipe at the air, like pretty uselessly, because like he needs to be getting his body in between the rim and the man here, but instead he kind of just like dives at his shoulder. Like this is like such low hanging fruit basic technique stuff that like I can't imagine Wemby won't improve here, but it does currently need a lot of work, so make of that what you will. This is like a very similar play in a different situation where he's kind of like in a 2-on-1 transition help situation, and the hips flip immediately to get around this guy. Like this is so impressive. This is like I think of like Garuba's hips used to move like this, which is wild. But then again, he just like is totally flailing out of control, fouls. There is just generally like a lack of control to his game, which is totally something that makes sense given how young he is and the frame he has. Where Wemby's in great position here, and if he just puts his arms straight up, it's probably a stop. But he's falling over himself and causing fouls because he's just not super comfortable with the defensive movements required with his body, which is totally fine, and reps that he needs to kind of iron out. We see like again like an aggressive stab kind of burn him where he does kind of get caught on this ceiling defender, but Wemby should be about here where he can cover this guy. This point of attack defender like does a really poor job, so it's not the easiest situation. But again, we see he's just like, because of that stab, he is not in position at all to contest this mid-range jumper, which ends up falling. So a lot of little stuff, a lot of technique and discipline stuff, but obviously like he can sit low because he sticks his arm up from the free throw line, and like that contest is ridiculous given how far away he was. Like this is the distance when that shot went up, and Wemby's able to get his hand close to the ball. It's really, really ridiculous stuff by wembanyama, obviously, just as a component with his length. This is another kind of session where he's getting good reps moving, and you see while he sticks his arm out here to pressure the ball handler, he's in much better position to kind of recover there as well, which little incremental stuff, always good and important to see. And then the second jump that he's able to exhibit as a rim protector sometimes is really wild. Where he's like biting on these pump fakes, which isn't great, but like he's still able to, like, despite this guy leaving, like being all the way off the ground before Wemby even starts his jump, and is able to swat those. That's a testament to obviously his length. That's a testament to the kind of reaction speed that he can flash, and to like how quick of a leaper he is. He's not like the most explosive leaper in the entire world, but he can get up really fast, especially, and that's really great for these kind of rim protection reps. So we're gonna go a little bit of offense, not as much. There's still some like vicious like rim stuff with his incredible size, and sometimes it's just like so freaking overpowering. It always just looks so overpowering, even when it's not that impressive. But there definitely was concerning stuff that I may not have put or forgot to include, but whatever. So let's talk about his shooting, where Wemby will shoot the ball if you give him space, which is so good. Obviously, I think there's some carried away about Wemby shooting because like the indicators aren't fully there with the volume and like and with the the shot making needed, but his willingness to shoot basically from anywhere without real hesitation is such an asset for his shooting development. It is so important. And the fact that he's willing to try shots like this, where he's taking one dribble pull-ups from like a foot behind the line, which is not something that normal big men do. The on-ball creation reps are not always great, and I think that's fair. That like creating space on the ball like shouldn't really be a strength for him, and it's not. Despite like a fluid handle, he's not really great at like picking his spots, and attacking, weak points in defensive stances and stuff. And he kind of just like and one mixtape dribbles into tough fadeaways, and they work sometimes, and they look really cool when they work. But the process on ball currently needs a lot of work, which is fine. Again, the fact that he's getting reps like this is really, really good. But off the ball, he's just much more threatening as a scorer. He's spotting up and looking to shoot from well beyond the line, and defenses respect that. Like, they know he will shoot, and even though people will be like, Wemby's not shooting that well, like his percentages aren't that great, fair. Defenses, he is not a bad enough shooter to where defenses will not close out. Instinctually, they know he's going to shoot. They know he will make them, and they know they will get on highlight reels if he does. So they close out, and Wemby's able to put the ball on the floor and draw a foul, which is a level of passing that he had, a level of play that he has really achieved. Wemby, as well, is kind of progressing as a passer as well, which is the last thing I want to touch on. One of the bigger weaknesses I have for him, I think there were some really impressive flashes in these couple of games. He's not really put in positions to make passes super often, but like, here's a short roll pass where the ball probably should have been out right here if we're nitpicking. But Wemby gathers for a second, and I think this is like I think he no-looks this. Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does no-look this. I didn't even realize that when I was putting this together. Look at that. He looks off this defender, who bolts the corner, which opens up the low. That's even more impressive than I thought. Wow, cool. Like, ideally the ball is out the second he catches it, but like, he was gathering, and this is still really, really awesome for Wemby as well. And there was also this really cool on-ball flash where Wemby saw a second defender come, and he immediately dropped it over him. That length is going to be such a passing asset, because it's like impossible to contest his passes. Like, a lot of guys, when you double them, you can swarm them and cut off their passing angles, but you can't choke off Wemby. He's going to pass over you, and this is good. Like, he realizes this defender comes to help, and pretty quickly is able to get those out. Again, like, if I'm nitpicking, I want to the processing speed improve, because in the NBA, these windows are not this open. But the progression is really good. There's been a lot of really good and impressive stuff in these couple games, with also a lot of bad stuff as well. But I really like the role he's in. I'm very optimistic about this context for him, just because of how much it challenges him and how much relevant kind of reps he's getting in a lot of different areas. So I think, like, he doesn't have to look really incredible in all of these games, like, as a composite, to really have an impressive season as a prospect, given especially like his youth dominance and the track record he has there. Yeah, I'm probably gonna keep doing these throughout the season, not just for Wemby, but for like for a ton of prospects. So let me know what you want to see.